Welcome back to Go With Us, and this is everything you really need to know this week in Pokemon Go, running from the 8th of June all the way until the 15th. Let's get straight into our calendar now, and what we're going to do this week is actually kick off with all of the eggs that are going to be hatching this season, because we now know all of them. So if you guys weren't aware, hatching from that 1 kilometer egg, which is what we can get daily, you can hatch every single starter that is in the game. In 2 kilometer eggs, we can see Execute, Pichu, Cleffa, Togepi, Corphish, Wynot, and Larvesta. And 5 kilometer eggs, it's going to be Riolu, Mantike, Snom, Indeedee male, Indeedee female, Flittle, and Larvesta. In 7 kilometer eggs, we can see Galarian Meowth, Galarian Corsola, Galarian Zigzagoon, Galarian Darumaka, Galarian Stunfisk, Alolan Geodude, as well as Alolan Diglett. And the 7 kilometer eggs coming from Mateo, which you can only receive at the end of a route, we can see Galarian Corsola, Galarian Slowpoke, Hisuian Sneasel, Hisuian Growlithe, and White Stripe Basculin. Please bear in mind that White Stripe Basculin is the only form that can evolve into Basculegion, which is also a water and ghost type Pokemon. The red and blue Stripe Basculin cannot evolve. This will be coming to the game at some point, so try and get yourself 2 good White Stripe Basculins. And 10 kilometer eggs, we can see Mawile, Absol, Honedge, Charcadet, Tinkadink, Frigibax, and Larvesta. But what's also important to remember is that every Monday morning at 9 AM, we will receive our Adventure Sync rewards, of which 2 of those rewards could be a 5 kilometer Adventure Sync egg as well as a 10 kilometer Adventure Sync egg. You can only get these 2 eggs if you have 2 egg slots open and if you've walked over 50 kilometers that week. We now have the full list of the 5 kilometer Adventure Sync hatches. Those are going to be Budew, Chingling, Sableye, Tyrogue, and Happiny. And the 10 kilometer Adventure Sync egg pool, at least right now, is very small. There's only Bagon, Dredagon, and Drampaw in there. And there are more things going down on Monday, but as of the release of this video, we are still in the middle of Spark's Caretaking Quest event. Guys, please remember to collect that accessory Elekid, which is coming with that Team Instinct background, one of the rarest costume shinies in the game. You will actually get an additional encounter as well if you did buy the Go Pass Deluxe. If you guys didn't know the wild spawns, it's going to be Bulbasaur, Alolan Raichu, Drowsy, Jolteon, Dratini, Houndour, Lileep, and Combi. Remember that Alolan Raichu and Jolteon are granting you 300 Stardust per catch, but that Combi is going to be granting you 750 Stardust per catch. You may have already seen it during this week. These spawns are very common. Great time to pop a star piece to get those Stardust gains. Also, we have featured 7 kilometer eggs still running. We have Pichu in there, Hisuian Quillfish, Galarian Corsola, Elekid will be in there. That does not come with the accessory. Shinx, as well as Varoom, which shiny was recently unlocked. But the big hitter about this event, and this is the big secret tip, is to have a look at the field research. We now know all those field research tasks. Explore 1 kilometer to get a Dratini or a Lileep encounter, hatch an egg to get a Galarian Corsola encounter, hatch 2 eggs to get either an Alolan Raichu or a Jolteon encounter. These are one of those tasks that you need to stack in your stack tasks. In other words, once you get the reward Pokemon, I want you to give it a gold or red berry and run away. The reason why you want to do this is that giving it the gold berry will make it easier to catch whenever you do encounter it again, but why we only want to encounter it later is so that we can catch it on a 3 or 4 times catch Stardust event, which will definitely be coming after GoFest during the Ultra Unlocks. Very important to do this. Don't catch these Pokemon now. As you can see, there's more coming. Open 3 gifts for a Drowsy or Houndour encounter, but send 3 gifts to friends is going to get you a Bulbasaur or a Combi encounter. I want you to do the exact same thing. You can catch the Bulbasaur because that's not a permanently boosted Stardust Pokemon, but the Combi granting 750 Stardust, you will be able to multiply that by 4 times during those Ultra Unlock events, which is why you mustn't catch it now. I've actually got an example what a Combi was given me on a 3 times catch Stardust event, over 3,000 Stardust on a star piece. This is why you need to stack your tasks. What we've actually done for you guys is a completely separate video highlighting this event only. Trust me, you really want to watch that. There are a few hidden things that not many other content creators have mentioned. Please check it out above me, and I will leave it as the end screen. Don't forget to take advantage of this event before it ends. Let's get back to our calendar again, and as you can see, there's one more thing we really need to worry about on this Monday, which is going to be at 6 o'clock, which is going to be the Dynamax Monday and the DMAX debut of Dynamax Electabuzz coming into Pokemon Go for the very first time. DMAX Electabuzz can evolve into DMAX Electivire. Please remember you are going to need 100 candy as well as a Sinnoh Stone as well. That's very important to mention. Not a lot of people have Sinnoh Stones, but how good will Dynamax Electivire be in Pokemon Go? Well, let's have a look at its base stats. It has a max CP of 249, which is tremendously good, and I can already tell you this is a strong start here. We have a defense of 163, which is kind of poor to be honest, but we have an HP of 181, which is also a little bit below average. But a big way to determine if a Pokemon is a good Dynamax attacker, especially as a tank, is going to be its fast attacks. As you can see, Electivire gets access to Thunder Shock and Low Kick, which means it has a fighting fast move and electric type fast move. The great thing about these fast moves though is that they are both half a second fast moves, which means it is going to charge the Dynamax meter a lot quicker in order to get to that Dynamax phase, in order to stick with your attacker or to switch in your better attacker depending on what Pokemon you're fighting. Something I need to mention as well, we've done a little bit of research. Dynamax Electabuzz actually has a higher attack stat than Dynamax Raikou and is only just behind Zapdos by 2 points. So overall, this is going to be a brilliant budget option. This is probably the best Max Monday we've seen since the Regis, to be honest. This is definitely one you do not want to miss, especially if you are a newer player or if you don't have a Dynamax Zapdos or a gmax Toxtricity, which of course is going to outclass any other electric type attacker in that category. Dynamax Electivire is certainly a Pokemon you want to be going after. In fact, I just heard from Dynamax Electabuzz himself, and he just told me that only 30% of the viewers watching this video are actually subscribed to the channel, which is completely to our surprise. So please, would you do us a favor and hit that subscribe button? It should be, it's there somewhere. Before we move on, let's have a look at our research breakthrough box, which is going to be taking place throughout the entire season. Remember, this is going to be coming from your 7th day stamp by completing field research tasks every single day. Once you get your 7th day stamp, you will be able to get an encounter with a reward Pokemon. This season, those are going to be Dragonite, that Hundo CP is going to be 1625 CP. Axew's now in there at 586. Honedge does return from last season at 595 CP. Jangmo-O is in there at 415 CP. We do have the male as well as the female form of Indeedee. Those Hundo CPs are going to be 1027 and 1047 respectively. Cloth is in there. That's the only one that cannot be shiny, and it's probably going to be coming a little bit later in the season, but that Hundo CP is going to be 1030. Now it's time for the raids. What raids are going down this week? Well, first and foremost, we have to touch on our 5-star Shadow Raid boss, which is going to be happening for the entire of the month of June, which is going to be Shadowdialga. Shadowdialga is still a tremendously good Pokemon in Pokemon Go. It is a Steel and Dragon type Pokemon originally coming from the Sinnoh region. Its attack value is sitting at 275, defense of 211, and an HP of 205 with a max CP of 4565. Please bear in mind though that this attacking value of 275 is going to be increased by 20%, not just because of stab damage, which is same type attack bonus, it's also going to be increased by its shadow bonus. If you guys didn't know, shadow Pokemon get their attack increased by 20%, but the trade-off is that their defense gets decreased by 20%. So in Shadowdialga's case, it's still going to hit tremendously hard. It is only weak to 2 different types, which is going to be fighting and ground, but as you can see here, it resists 10 different types, of which it double resists poison as well as grass. So how does this translate as a PvP Pokemon if we first start off in the Master League? Well guys, this Pokemon is currently hovering around the 40th or 30th place in the Master League. It is an incredibly good Pokemon, but even as a raid attacker, let's take a look. As a dragon type attacker, it's breaking into the top 15 at currently in the 12th spot with Dragon Breath on Draco Meteor, which by the way actually isn't the best dragon type move to have as a charge attack, but it's actually as a steel type where it performs even better. It's breaking into the top 10, currently in the 7th spot with Metal Claw and Iron Head. Shadowdialga is an absolute boss, definitely one you want to raid. You will definitely be able to duo this Pokemon. Please use Party Play because your charge attacks are going to be doing double the damage. But what is going to be our 5-star raid boss for this week? Well, it looks like Reshiram is going to be in raids until Tuesday the 9th. Please make sure to raid this Reshiram. It is still the 30th best dragon type attacker in the game, and as a fire type attacker, it's breaking into the top 6, but you are going to need Fusion Flare on this Pokemon, which will not be coming on Reshiram during these 5-star raids. You will need an elite charge TM in order to get Fusion Flare in this Pokemon, but as you can see, it makes a massive difference, bringing this Pokemon to be the 6th best fire type attacker, and even in the Master League right now, it's still breaking into that top 10, top 12 spot, which I think is still brilliant. Please make sure to raid Reshiram. As of recording this video, you will only have about 2 or 3 days left, but then coming in on the 10th, which is actually going to be on Wednesday, we are going to see Zekrom making its return in Pokemon Go. It has a max CP of 4565, an attack value of 275, defense of 211, and an HP of 205. If you guys weren't aware, Zekrom and Reshiram actually have the exact same stats and the exact same max CP. Zekrom does have more weaknesses. It is weak to Dragon, Fairy, Ground, and Ice, but it does resist 6 different types, as you can see here. Fusion Bolt will not be coming on Zekrom coming from these raids. You will need to use an Elite Charge GM, which I would only recommend doing this on a 96, 98, or an absolute first prize. If you do have the hundo, it is definitely worth spending that Elite Charge TM. Otherwise, I would hold on to it and wait for a better IV or raid for a better IV. Those are your 5-star raids out of the way, but what mega raids are going down this week? It looks like as of recording this video, we only have 2 or 3 days left to raid Mega Audino. Mega Audino is not a good fairy or normal type attacker at all. All you really want to do with this Pokemon is to get it to Mega level 3 as fast as possible for when that fairy event comes around, so you can reap all the candy, but especially that XL candy for that specific event. Getting this to Mega level 3 should be your priority for this Pokemon. But then again, also coming on Wednesday, we are going to see the return of Mega Lopunny. Bear in mind that Lopunny on its own is a straight normal type, but when it Mega evolves into Mega Lopunny, it becomes a normal and a fighting type. So this is a great opportunity also to get this Pokemon to Mega level 3, so you can get the candy and XL candy for the fighting type event or Calm Day or whatever it might be, whenever that is around the corner, and I'm telling you it will be. But the other thing about Mega Lopunny is that as a fighting type attacker, it's actually breaking into the top 25 right now, I believe sitting in the 24th spot, and that's going to be with Focus Blast, which is a very slow hitting move, and Mega Lopunny unfortunately is a very classy Pokemon, but if you didn't have another fighting type, this could be a decent place to start. And just to show you Mega Lopunny's base stats here, following all that information, you can see that its attack value is decent, but it's that defense and HP that just make it far too glassy. It does have a decent max CP, but again, because of how glassy this Pokemon is, it's not going to be able to stay on the battlefield for that long. Let's get back to our calendar again, and we know we just touched on the raids, which will be coming on Wednesday, but let's just cast our eye on Tuesday very quickly. Please bear in mind they have made an adjustment to Showcase Tuesdays, which will still allow Pokemon to be entered into 20 different categories. However, you can now enter 5 Pokemon into showcases as opposed to 3, which is a step up from last season. Please enter these to chip away at the Platinum Showcase medal, which requires you to win 100 showcases. To do that as quick as possible, you probably want to be entering these in some quieter neighborhoods or towns or cities where you know there's not a lot of foot traffic or traffic in general, so people can drop their Pokemon in. That is going to be your best way to win them, but also if you win them, you're going to get some premium items like incubators, super incubators, lucky eggs, and star pieces, very valuable in your Pokemon Go journey. Enter those showcases. But back to our calendar again, we have another big thing starting on Tuesday, which is going to be your last team leader event, which is going to be Team Valor's Candela and her quest for victory. This event will be coming with Candela's Ponyta coming with the accessory as well as that Team Valor background. This would be one of the rarest shinies in the game. Please make sure to do this. Of course, there will be a brand new Go Pass. If you did have a free track, you can encounter things like Flareon, Rockruff, Ponyta wearing that accessory with a Team Valor background. And if you did buy the deluxe version, you are going to get an additional encounter with another Ponyta wearing that accessory in a Team Valor background, including 6 additional premium battle passes, because a lot of this event is going to be focused around raids. At Tier 1 at the Go Pass, which is going to be at rank 10, you're going to get an increased attack bonus on all raids during this week. The Tier 2 bonus, which is going to be at rank 20, is that it's going to be 1.5 times raid Stardust for completing raids. And if you did buy the deluxe version at Tier 2, which is also going to be at rank 20, you will receive 2 raid passes by spinning gym discs. Spawning in the wild, we can see Charmander, Mankey, Hisui and Growlithe, Machop, Ponyta, Scyther, Flareon, Slugma, and Fletchling. We are going to see featured raids going down. In 1-star raids, we can see Hisui and Growlithe, Honedge, Scraggy, and Rockruff. And in 3-star raids, we can see Machamp, Scizor, and Magcargo. Trust me when I say this event can be extremely powerful from a raid point of view. It's actually going to make raids a lot easier, and if you're looking to raid, especially with GoFest Copenhagen on the horizon, this could be a great opportunity to do this and to remote raid some of those raids like Primal Groudon, Primal Kyogre, Mega Mewtwo, and more. What we've actually done is already a separate video explaining how this whole event is going to work with conjunction to GoFest. If you are not going to GoFest Copenhagen, you need to be watching this video. It's going to help you out a lot. I will leave it as the end screen, and here it is above me. That's Tuesday out of the way, but let's move on to Wednesday now. As you can see, the only thing we really need to worry about, which is kind of every Wednesday at this point, is going to be the raid hour of Zekrom. Very important to mention that you want to have a Mega Level 3 Dragon or Electric type Pokemon in the background, so you can be accumulating more candy and XL candy on every single capture. Because Zekrom's going to be spawning all around raids, you really have a good opportunity in person to knock out 5 to 10 of these in relatively quick succession, especially if you have that party play lined up and you are raiding in person with a couple best friends, as well as some other people you might be inviting or coordinating with. Trust me when I say Zekrom is going to serve you very well in Pokemon Go, as we just saw with the space stats and how good it is as a raid attacker, but also in the Go Battle League. Just have a look at the rankings of Zekrom right now. As you can see, it has very much stood the test of time in Pokemon Go, and to be honest, I don't see this Pokemon going away for some time. Really good Pokemon to go after, and a stunning shiny with a little green tint. Then let's move on to Thursday the 11th. Of course, as we know, and if you didn't know, Thursdays are for Go Battle League. GBL Thursdays have become a very important thing for a couple of reasons, but let me just explain what's going down on Thursdays for the remainder of the season. We can complete up to 10 sets per day, which means you can do 50 battles every single Thursday. Guys, this is nothing to scoff at for two things. It's going to be 4 times Stardust rewards. So the Stardust rewards for winning a set, including some of those other Stardust bonuses in there, are really going to multiply for you. But the other thing is that you can get reward encounters from that GBL track. Let me just say, we have seen community members post in that they've got Hundo Zacians, Groudons, even Juzzy, the editor of this channel, once got a Hundo Machamp. I saw someone say they got their first Shundo Onyx off of this GBL track. Please play GBL. To be honest, it's actually pretty fun. Of course, seeing the weaknesses and strengths of certain Pokemon and their types, it can be very addictive, but more so, it's the rewards you are accumulating in the background. Don't forget that. Then let's move on to Friday the 12th, and we have the big start of our last in-person GoFest event, which is going to be GoFest Copenhagen, and these are going to be some of the highlights if you are going, and if you're not, pay attention because there are some things we could potentially do from where we are around the world. Please bear in mind that on the last 30 minutes of your park day, you will be able to get Mega Mewtwo raids. Please bear in mind that Primal Kyogre as well as Primal Groudon will be spawning at Primal raids throughout the weekend. Great opportunity to remote these Pokemon, but remember what I said about the Go Pass bonuses and Candela's Quest for Victory event, which again, we are going to leave as the end screen. The multiplier there is really going to help you. In normal 5-star raids, we can see Mewtwo, Moltres, as well as Entei, and in 3-star raids, we can see the Combat Breed Paldean Tauros, which of course can be shiny only if you have a ticket for those events. There's going to be branching special research where you have to pick the Mewtwo X path or the Mewtwo Y path, and we can also get the Wash Rotom shiny for the very first time in Pokemon Go. All forms of Unknown will be spawning in the wild, and we also have an incredible list of bonuses you guys can enjoy at the in-person event as well. But if you are not going to Copenhagen, like I said, you need to be either remote raiding these primals, for example. But the other thing, like we said, is to check out our Candela's Quest for Victory event. We've done that video already. We know we've said it, but trust me, it's really going to help you. So that is going to be on Friday. But as we know, one thing has continued on Friday, which is going to be Friendship Fridays for everybody. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, Friendship Fridays is a new daily discoveries bonus that they introduced last season, where trades are going to cost 10% less on this day. We can make an additional special trade on this day for a total of 2. You're going to get an additional XL candy every single trade, but most importantly, all of these trades have a higher chance of going lucky. This is incredibly important. If you guys didn't know, once a Pokemon goes lucky, it has a 1 in 64 chance of becoming a Hundo because the base floor is 12, 12, 12, as you can see with this Torchic on screen right now. And this is pretty much the same odds as getting a Hundo, because getting a 15, 15, 15 or a 12, 12, 12 is pretty much the same thing. It's 1 in 64 chance. But as we've shown you in previous weeks as well, we've done trades like this Phony Form Sinistea, a Hundo Magikarp for the Mega Gyarados, 2 lucky Hundo Tinkatinks. Guys, trade your Pokemon on these Fridays. If you didn't know, you can make up to 100 trades per day in Pokemon Go. On these Fridays is what you really want to aim for. Maybe you still had some of those shiny Riolus from Riolu Hatch Day, or someone else does. Trade Pokemon on these days. Luckies. We've seen people get up to 18 or 19 Luckies in those 100 trades. Do not sleep on that. You have to trade your Pokemon. Very, very underrated. On Sunday, there is another way to take advantage of Candela's Quest for Victory, which is going to be Scenic Sunday, another daily discoveries bonus that they've recently altered. What this means is that it's more focused on routes. If you are playing these events, I want you guys to be running routes because there's going to be more Pokemon spawning on routes on these Scenic Sundays. If you pop an incense during this event, and even if you're watching this video on Sunday, please play that Scenic Sunday. You're still going to be in the Sparks Quest event, and there's some brilliant Pokemon spawning off Incense as well. There's going to be boosted spawns of Incense during routes, and you can also encounter Mateo not once but 3 times on the Sunday, where you can get gifts Please bear in mind this 7-kilometer gift, there's two things I want you to do here is to hold on to this Pokemon because it will be coming from a different overseas region. So you can potentially trade this Pokemon to chip away at that pilot medal, which is very difficult to complete. And of course, the other big thing that's going to be happening on these routes is that we can collect Zygarde cells. It still seems like we can only collect 3 per day, but you never know. If you did a longer route, that's going to be a much better opportunity to get these Zygarde cells to spawn. I'm going to leave Spark's quest above me to my left, and then I'm going to leave Candela's quest for knowledge to my right here. Watch these events. You can just get the ending of Spark when you watch this video, but then you will get the full breakdown of Candela's event because there are definitely a few bonuses as well as some top targets you need to be going after there. Please check it out. Please also smash that like and subscribe button. We stacked this video for you. This is everything you really need to know this week in Pokemon Go. Really appreciate your support. Please hit that hype button as well so we can send this as far as wide as possible. Love you guys. Really appreciate your support. We've got a big June and July coming up. We've got some top content coming your way, and we want to keep growing with you guys. Love you. Go with us. Catch you in the next one, baby.